Good morning, dolls, and welcome to Little Gretchen's workshop. So here we are back in the rooming house laundry room. So the walls are all dry, but they need to be painted, distressed, and glued to the wall, or in our case, installed. So let's go ahead and get on with it. Now, I do want to share with you, I had a change of heart on the doorway. If you notice, it looks a little bit bigger than it did before. And that's because I actually removed a portion of the door frame to make the doorway wider. The post that was there against the wall, I actually removed it, dolls. I decided I wanted the doorway opening to be bigger so you'd be able to see more of the utility room, and I wanted to add another curtain. Now, for those of you all who haven't seen that video, definitely check it out in the playlist. It would be under the Kitchen and Pantry series. I created this wall with foam core and I covered it with tongue depressors or jumbo craft sticks as paneling. But you see, I removed it and decided to create a second panel for the doorway. But I will need to fix and modify the top of the door frame in order for that to work. So I'm just using my wire cutters to just pull away some of the glue that was stuck up in the trench of the door frame, just so I can make it nice and neat for the additional panel. Now, dolls, I just wanted you to know this is what I did, but I'm going to move on to the part that needs to be done first, which is the painting. Now, dolls, here I am again, yes, with that succulent green. It's by Folk Art. I really love it. It's the same paint that I used for the cabinet that I made for the pantry, and it is the same paint that I used in the kitchen for the beadboard. So I just kind of wanted to stay with this color because to me it has a really vintage feel, and I think it looks great on the beadboard. So now that the beadboard is painted, I can really see where I'm going with this curtain idea. So I created a really thin panel to hang in that area, and I did pin it down to a piece of foam core so that it would retain its shape while it's drying. Now I did use my water and glue solution, and dolls, if you haven't seen my video on how I make curtains, definitely check that out, and it will tell you how I create my curtains with the glue and water solution. Now this beadboard is dry and has a couple good coats of the paint, and I'm using 100 grit piece of sandpaper to scrape it and distress it. Now dolls, use whatever sandpaper you have. You could use a nail file. You could use almost anything to distress your walls, but this is just my way. And I'm just going over it in different ways, mainly in a downward motion. It just depends on where you want your wear to show up. But there is no wrong way to distress your miniatures, dolls. It's strictly up to you. You can use a file or even a wire brush. Anything you have to give the desired effect. I really wanted it to look as though it had been painted, and just over the years the wood has been scraped and bumped and scuffed up from the use of the room, and it just was never repainted. I love the gaps between the sticks and the color of the stained wood peeking out underneath. I think that really lends to the age and the history of the house. Now, to enhance the aging even more, I added some chalk pastel to the area, especially over in the corner where the hot water heater is. I would imagine the heat would have scorched the wall a little bit and it'd be a little sooty in that area. So I'm using the chalk pastels to just kind of rub into the wood. And I did tap it around in other parts of the room or on the wall, but mainly in that area behind the hot water heater. And dolls, again, when working with the chalk pastels, you can use as much or as little as you want to create the effect that you want. You can make it really dirty or just a little bit. I say start slow and build up a little at a time. Now, dolls, when I was distressing this wall, I had to be extra careful because I've already hung my curtain in that part of the doorway. Best practice would be to distress your walls before you hang a curtain. Again, dolls, this is a process that took a while. This is not something I did really, really quick. I did it, came back, did it some more, looked at it, and roughed it up more. Take your time. Having it on these brown paper bag templates is going to make the installation a breeze. So let's go ahead and get these walls up so we can decorate. Now, dolls, I've added Gorilla Wood glue to the back of the template walls and laid it in place. Now, they're already fitted, they're already sized. I placed them on the wall where I wanted them to sit, and I've created tension rods or tension brackets, and I'm also using big binder clips to hold down the edges. Now, you do see me kind of pressing the braces in kind of tight and creating tension on the walls. And it's going to scratch the paint a little bit, but it's not going to hurt it because it's an old rooming house laundry room. But if you use this technique, definitely put something cushion on the ends of the rods so you don't damage your beautiful walls. Use foam or fabric with a rubber band around it. And definitely, if you get any glue oozes, clean it up quickly. Now, dolls, my cast iron hot water tank is really, really lightweight because it's plastic. And I didn't like the idea of it toppling over because of the height. So I found a set of magnets and put them inside of the base of the hot water tank and glued a little disc to the floor. Dolls, magnets definitely come in handy when it comes to miniatures, especially items like this, appliances that are really lightweight. And you see I have a magnet already glued to the bottom, and this is going to fit on top of the disc that will be glued to the floor. I actually ended up finding another disc that fit a little bit better, but I love the strength of the magnet. And here's the other disc. It's a little bit smaller and it'll actually fit into the cavity of the hot water tank. So let's get back to the room. So that first wall is drying and now I'm adding the door around the dining room. Now this one took a little bit more to get everything in order because one, I'm fitting it around the doorway that's already cut, but I want to make sure everything lays perfectly so that I don't have a problem opening and closing my dining room doors. Now you see how I'm opening, it's hitting the part of the top of the door frame. That's because I don't have my wall sitting straight or sitting the way it's supposed to be. So I need to adjust it to make sure it's plumb with the wall and the opening. Now, I don't want to drag on about this point, but dolls, when you go through the trouble of creating a whole template and you've decorated the wall, you don't want to glue it in incorrectly and then your trim and things like that don't fit. So definitely take special care when you're doing around doorways like this. And I adjusted it and put my binder clips on to make sure it sat in the right part of the doorway while it dries, because dolls, after it's dry, you'll destroy it trying to remove it. It will be a whole situation with complications. No, dolls, altogether, it took me about a week just to do this project. The fitting, the making everything, and fitting around this door. And when I say a week, I mean the total process. Now here I'm trying to fit the rest of the door trim around that area, and I have a teeny part that goes into the pantry. So it has to fit perfectly. And you see the little gap between the door and the door frame that needs to be invisible. So I have to make sure I set it exactly right so that when the door is closed, you don't see that gap, because that will kill the realism, gaps and things around doorways. And I know my camera can't get in there really good, but you see the gap is gone now because I've adjusted it properly and I'm making sure that my door can open. So those are the little things you need to pay close attention to, dolls, when you're fitting things around your doorways and in a room. And the space is really limited, so I have to keep checking on both sides of the house to make sure that it's correct. This may seem a little redundant, but yeah, after it's done, dolls. You can't remove it. You'll destroy the door trying to remove it after it's set. Now here you see me adding the piece of wood that will be a portion of the door frame where the partition sits. And I'm actually going to have to go around to the other side on the pantry side to make sure that it's sitting properly, it's laying flush, and it's not visible from the other side. It fell, but here I am on the other side just checking to see how it looks. And you see I already hung the curtain in that door, that widened doorway. I think that looks really good. You can still see in there. Now I actually put my camera inside the room so I could see the things that I actually can't view from the outside of the house. And I was actually able to detect there's a little space or gap up at the top of the door, so I will need to put something there to fill it. But overall, around the door frame fits really neat. There are no gaps. I love the distressing, and I've also done the crown molding in the laundry room. Now, that ceiling, I haven't decided. I do like some of that plaster disaster in the ceiling, but I'll work on that at another time. I'm just really viewing the distressing up close. I really love it. It looks very realistic. I love the gaps between the bead boards. Yeah, I'm really loving the way this looks. So let's add some fixtures. And there's the hot water tank. The door is installed. It's all dry. Door frame fits great. The door opens nice and smooth. I've added the pipes to the wall. There's our sink, tucking that in there. And let's get that washing machine over there. Now I gotta think about how I'm gonna do that because the washing machine kind of blocks the meter. Dolls, I'll figure it out after I get the other components and accessories in the room. But for now, that's where I'm going to sit the washing machine. Now, dolls, if you've enjoyed this video today, let me know in the comments. Also, like, share, and subscribe. And always look for me on Mondays and Wednesdays after 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I just want to take this time and opportunity to tell you, dolls, that I truly appreciate your comments and your suggestions and things in the videos. It really, really makes it fun and really, really makes it feel like we're just growing a really great community here at Little Gretchen's Workshop. And I just want to say a special thank you to all my subscribers and even to those of you who haven't subscribed, but you're watching, so I appreciate you as well. I have so many things to do in this laundry room, so many accessories and so many ideas to really complete this look and make it look like it looks in my imagination. So I definitely want you to stay tuned so you don't miss the next episode of Little Gretchen's Workshop. Bye-bye now, dolls.